So the next era of business, let's talk a little bit about Coach Prime. So Coach Prime, congratulations, Coach Prime, 10 million contract. I quite frankly feel like he's worth, give him the money. He's done more for the University of Colorado than probably anybody could have ever imagined. So they've made a ton of money off this man, not even just the University of Colorado, the city of Boulder, the city of everybody in Colorado, the hotels, the car rentals, the Uber people, the airport, the flights, like everything has gone up because of that man. So pay him his money. Kudos to them for that. And, so there's that. And then the other flip side of this is as he's getting paid, then it comes out that they're not going to do the spring game, which I think we all kind of knew that they weren't going to do the spring game. But
they're not going to do the spring
game?
They
declined the spring. Yeah, they declined it.
With Syracuse, you mean? Okay.
Yeah, they declined. Yeah, they declined the spring game with Syracuse. And they basically said, timing, unfair advantage, and they didn't want the kids to miss school because, they care very much about these students being students, all of a sudden. My question to you is, do you think we've set up the stage to now have spring games in 2026? Like, do you think we're going to have intermingling spring games in 2026?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that, but real quick. We're talking about missing school, and we got March Madness going on right now.
Listen, I'm just telling you what they said.
I know, but I'm just saying in my mind, I'm talking to the NCAA. See, this is why the NCAA puts their foot in their mouth all the time. Mm-hmm. You come up with bogus answers and you think anybody, you know what? You're right.
Bogus.
Here's the best part. None of those kids probably attend class now because everything is online. Right. And here's the biggest thing. When they travel, the basketball teams have brought their tutors with them.
True.
Well, I know that. They travel with tutors because I knew a guy that coached in Hawaii. People don't realize the Hawaii flight just from Hawaii to California is 5 hours within itself.
Yeah.
So if they play 2 mainland games back to back, let's say they play, in California, then they have to play maybe in Idaho or whatever. They don't fly back to Hawaii to fly back. They just stay there for the week.
And bring over everybody with them.
Yeah, they bring everybody with them because what if you got 3 road games?
Yeah.
Right. So you're going for 3 weeks. But anyway, I call BS NCAA when it comes to that. But I think the seed has been planted. And again, I'll say this has been a topic of conversation for a long time, but Prime is the guy that brings the spotlight to it, and hopefully he can get it done. I think it will be interesting. But it will be interesting to find out the logistics behind it. If you opt in, opt out, who wants to do it, who's not going to do it, that kind of stuff.
That's what I'm interested in is there different tiers of people that are going to opt in and opt out? Like, what is that going to look like? Because I have a belief that I think different people benefit from spring game activities, and some people might not benefit from spring game activities. So, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like anytime, and I don't even know what you think about this. So I'm going to raise the question to you. I think sometimes, like, everybody always says, like, I don't know why people are doing spring games. Like, people are going to leave regardless. I think, yes, we all know people are going to leave regardless. That is a fact. However, if you don't know the one guy that I know that I have that we all know has been balling and doing all the things, and you don't even know he existed because he was like a 2-star and now he's a star on our team, and you don't know he's a star on our team, you don't get to see that guy. Those are the guys they're trying to protect. They're trying to protect kind of the underbelly of what's going on. They're not trying to protect the guys everybody knows. We all know the people, right? They're not protecting them. They're trying to protect the people that nobody knows. What do you think about that? Like, I know you want spring games and things like that, but what do you think about the whole, like, they're going to leave if they want to leave? And it's kind of like, they're not talking about those guys. They're talking about the guys that nobody knows that are really working hard to be the guy.
I'll say this. I still personally think if the NCAA can enforce the rule of, you can't do this, then they can enforce something with the transfer portal. I still don't understand, because they still have power.
Yeah.
I still don't understand the after spring transfer portal piece. Okay, you prove your point. It is anarchy when you don't step in. I understand. You have some value. I still don't know, because people don't like change. And when I say people, I'm speaking of maybe some of the older head coaches that, or the guys that are kind of in essence stuck in their ways. Spring ball is already grueling in itself.
Mm-hmm.
You have recruiting. You have all these other things, right? We're speaking outside of just Colorado here. There are a lot of other things that's going on. People are coming on campus. You got to get ready for official visits. There are a lot of things that's going on that campus besides you being entertained, right?
Yeah.
And so when you do that, that is another pile of stuff that's put onto a plate. And yes, you are getting paid handsomely. And we're only talking about a couple of schools. I want people to understand this. Every school is like NFL football players. Everybody ain't bringing home $40 million a year. Everybody's not doing that. Every college is not doing that. And it's more than, people think just the head coach. You got assistant coaches. This game is already taxing on the families, right? And when I get a chance to go home and see my wife and kids, now it's more and more and more. Mm-hmm. I understand it's part of entertainment. But I don't know if there's an option to opt in or not. I don't know how many schools do it initially.
So I have a question too, because let's say I opt out, okay, but you opt in, and you and Street have the game, and I decide to opt out. Well, because you and Street decided to have a game, now you get to have like recruits come to your game, and you get to do something different. I guess my question is, if the recruiting advantage is the solution, just to not have any recruits come to the event, period?
Well, that's the thing too, right? If I'm the home team, does the visiting team, can you fly recruits to the visiting spring game?
So the reason why, and I'm going to say this to you because, the Texas Longhorns were in the playoff game, and I know Miami wasn't in the playoff game. But Texas wasn't allowed to we weren't allowed to bring recruits in for playoff games. And that was like obviously nobody knew how any of this was going to work, right? And different teams were trying to do different things. But then the NCAA came out and they were like, no, nobody can bring in recruits. So whether you're on the road or traveling or whatever. So I'm like, okay, are we taking that same logic and applying it to the spring game? Because in the spring, that's usually when recruits come. So like, how does that work? You just say no? If you opt out, then or if you opt out, then you just miss out on the opportunity to have that experience people coming. I don't know.
Again, right? There's change. When there's change, a lot of logistics have to happen. What happened? And that's when the what if questions. Well, so if I go, let's just take the Colorado Syracuse, for example, because they're the ones talked about it. If Syracuse goes to Colorado, can they? Now, again, we're talking more money here, right?
Right. Yeah.
We're talking, again, everybody doesn't have all of this money. So now Syracuse has to host recruits in Boulder. So now you have to go to maybe an unfamiliar hotel, how that works, operates. You're not showing them your campus. You're not showing them how the game they operate. You're basically bringing them to a visiting situation. Is that really exciting or is it not? And then how many people say, well, if y'all gonna have y'all spring game on this Saturday, then I'm not coming because I'd rather go to the other school I like, but it's their home game. Then the fan base, are fans willing to travel to Colorado for a scrimmage?
Now that is interesting because I think the assumption is it's going to make a lot of money, but I think it's interesting to see who would travel. Would you go from Syracuse to go down to Colorado? Or let's just take them out of this because you know how this happens, right? With these fan bases.
No, they don't want to talk about it. Let's ride.
I know, right? But so that's why I'm like, I wouldn't go from Kansas to go watch my team play Virginia Tech. I mean, I don't know. Interesting. I think the other thing that's interesting that I want to see is if they close the spring portal. I think if you close the spring portal, I think there's more chances of more people giving it a second thought. I'm not saying they're all going to do it, but I think if you close that spring portal, it at least gives people the chance to take a deep breath and relax. What do you think?
Yeah, because back to what we're saying, and here's back to my story about coaches and kind of what you talked about in protecting the underlying players. Once there's chum in the water, the sharks are coming.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Once the bait is out there, yeah. Right? Let's be real. And I always bring up Jamar Gibbs because he was a player at Georgia Tech. But when he went to Alabama, he was a player. Mm-hmm. Right? And look what it's done for him. And Nick Saban like, bro, I need a running back. Georgia Tech don't play nobody. They developed this kid up. He good enough. Come on, bro. Let's ride. Right? Out of conference. We saw him play in the spring. He ate it up. And the dude with the script A came on the shirt and said, you want to come to the capstone? What's the capstone, coach? It's where players are made. Really? Come on. You know what he said? A-Town stomp. Right up out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He dipped. And you see that a lot of places. Some people it works well for, some people it doesn't. I just feel that, and maybe it's the coaching side of me. Like, damn, at some point, there is some accountability because people say, oh, well, coaches get to leave all the time. You don't see coaches leaving in the spring.
Fair. Now, that's fair. That's fair.
Unless they get fired.
And if you get fired in the spring, you need it. You come on.
You was on a cell phone.
Right. You were sending the wrong thing to the wrong person at the wrong time.
There you go. So there lies the point, right? So yes, coaches do get to move. Yes, coaches, but they don't do that typically in the spring. And I think that's plenty of time for you to vet whatever school you want to go to, do your due diligence on these new programs.
I agree.
The staffs by this time should be in place, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you want to transfer, then sit out a year.
Well, and like I said, listen, the season's over, right? You know what you got. If you want to come back. Because at that point, too, you also early signing day has already happened, right? So you already kind of know who the guys are, right? Or who's kind of being brought in to take your spot. Let's just call it what it is. You already know. So at that point, perfect. That happens. You open it up. And then if your coach leaves, you still get to leave. If, all those things are cool with me. I don't understand why we get to a spring and now you go through a spring and then you decide you want to leave. Like,
because you ain't on the depth chart where they told you was going to be. That's the part.
Like a you problem.
It is a you problem because you either didn't do your thing, and only thing I say is, if you're going into the spring and you think you're going to be the man, great.
Yeah.
And you don't, you got to look in the mirror, dog.
I agree with that.
Look in the mirror, and when I say that, can kids still be getting screwed? Sure they can. But now if you're in the spring and you're getting screwed, I'm trying to think, how many – here would be a great study. How many bona fide athletes have moved after the spring game and were dominant at their new school?
Not a lot.
Most of them move in the Christmas.
Most of them move. Not a lot. And I think – so – this is where I kind of part ways with who cares about the transfer portal with that statement is how many people got someone in the spring and made it to the college football championship game because of the one guy they got in April. I don't think so. Because the truth of the matter is, even if you get one guy, there's still 11 guys on the football field. So, or 10 other guys, you know what I mean? So, and to be, can I just take it a step further? How many teams have gotten anyone from the transfer portal that has then immediately made that team a contender over the past 2 years? I would say, since it's been heavy, and that guy that they got has been the reason why they got where they got. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because like I said, I did this with no research, really just off the dome, like a U.R.E. TV battle. I guess I'm saying that, but those guys are important. The ones that are leaving in April are your depth pieces. That's the problem. It's your
maybe okay, that's fair.
Right. So those are your depth, and that's why I'm saying. So back to your point of the underbelly guys, those are the ones that feel like I should be a starter or I should be in heavy rotation, and I'm not, and I'm gonna go somewhere else. And now when my man goes down, that guy that could have been there or in the rotation, he's now gone. So in essence, you're going from first to third string guy.
And so, okay. So let's take this a step further. So if you look at this and you just say, so who was in championship last year? So Ohio State, Notre Dame. Who did Ohio State, Notre Dame lose in the spring of last year? Like, we're not going to do this, but I'm just saying.
Caleb Downs. But I think Caleb Downs left in January. He left before Caleb DeBoer was hired.
And he was a starter.
Right, but what I'm saying is, you were talking about the time period. They left.
Oh yeah. He was the first portal. Yeah, he's the point, right? Because you could also say like Walter Nolan. I mean, Cam Ward, but all those guys came in January. They didn't wait till April.
Right. We're not talking about transfers. We're talking about who left after the spring.
After the spring, and
that's
that catapulted
Caleb Downs.
Exactly.
Cam Ward.
And that catapulted them.
See, not so like here, Damian Martinez. American, but his name's still up there. Cuban
right,
King.
He's American.
American. Damian Martinez didn't come in the spring, did he?
Let's see. Did he come in the spring? Damian Martinez.
Let's see. Sure did. Former Oregon State running back Damian Martinez announced on social media Saturday he'd be transferring to Miami, and this was on April 27th of 2020.
April 26th. Okay.
Damn
but respectfully, this isn't a knock on Miami, so everybody calm down. Calm down.
Oh, Jesus.
Is that the only person? Because again, we're talking about and we're talking about respectfully, I don't care if you transferred to my team and you went to name school, Kansas, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know from the teams that were good this year, how many of the guys that they got from the team that was good this year came in that spring portal? I don't know how. I need to find the spring portal link, I think.
Yeah. Real quick. So people brought up, so Riley Leonard, for example, to Notre Dame, he transferred December 20th. So yeah, there are some guys, right, that transferred, but it is what it is. All right,
yeah. But anyways, and that's the whole point, is like, sometimes I think that we get so up in arms by things and we're like, oh my God, I get this. But then when you actually kind of look at it, it's kind of like, yeah, but really, nobody wants to lose their depth. I will agree on that, though. Nobody wants to lose their depth. Nobody wants to lose the guy, because then what happens, right? Your guy does go down, and now the guy that was supposed to be the guy is now not there. So now you're depending on God knows who, and you're hoping that all that recruiting and all those lies you sold that guy, that he can come in and do all the things that you said he was going to be able to do. I mean, you didn't want him out there, but now he's out there. So pick your poison.
No, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So anyways,